And thanks for joining us. We're coming to you live from Chicago.
Today is Monday, July 19th, and this is NewsNation Prime.
Tonight, fears of a second shutdown. The Delta variant now spreading in all 50 states, and the speed of vaccinations across the U.S. slowing by the day.
Does the Delta variant make you worried?
Absolutely not.
A major development from the American Academy of Pediatrics about our children and masks, and worries of a fourth wave, sending stocks plummeting and derailing Olympic dreams just days before opening ceremonies.
I'm heartbroken for her. She's worked half her life for this event.
A massive megafire burning out of control, sending firefighters running for cover.
I think we did 39 hours on that, and it pushed us the whole time.
Families forced to leave everything behind.
People that have built it literally with their own hands, and it's gone. It's completely gone.
And even more dangerous weather looming, threatening to make conditions even worse.
Calling out China.
China's foreign intelligence officials are trained to avoid detection, and they did everything they could to hide their crimes.
Accusations of global espionage in a massive Microsoft hack that compromised hundreds of thousands of accounts. The Biden administration on the offensive tonight.
Plus, countdown to liftoff.
I literally have had goosebumps since I said that.
Days after Richard Branson reached the edge of space.
If we can do this, just imagine what you can do.
Jeff Bezos wants to go a little further.
Feels good to be in the flight suit.
Dueling billionaires on a mission to make history. NewsNation Prime starts right now.
Live from the NewsNation studios in Chicago, this is NewsNation Prime with Marty Hughes, Rob Nelson, and Albert Ramon.
Good evening. Our top story tonight, coronavirus cases soaring in every state in America right now, prompting concerns that we could move backwards in efforts to fully reopen the country.
That spike fueled by the Delta variant and sluggish vaccination rates. Top health officials are calling it a pandemic of the unvaccinated, urging Americans once again to get the shot as soon as possible. At the same time, major news from the American Academy of Pediatrics today, now recommending that schools should require face masks for children over the age of 2, regardless of vaccination status. Fears of a resurgence also contributing to the worst day on Wall Street in almost 9 months. Our NewsNation team following the very latest tonight. First, we go to correspondent Brian Etten. He is live in one of the major hotspots in the country right now. Brian.
Rob, this state, Florida, has among the highest level of the new Delta variant. Jackson Health behind me, you can hear a helicopter taking off from the hospital. This is in Miami. They say they have nearly doubled the number of COVID cases just in this hospital over the last 2 weeks. Today they went on a high COVID threat level for the first time in months and say they will no longer allow visitors here. When the vaccines rolled out, COVID wards cleared out, and many thought the pandemic was under control. But then came the highly contagious Delta variant, and COVID cases and hospitalizations are once again ticking up around the country.
Should we be worried at this point?
We should be worried at this point.
Doctors sounding the alarm that vaccine hesitancy is what's standing in the way of ending the pandemic. Is there anything that anyone could say to you that would convince you to get the vaccine?
No.
Does the Delta variant make you worried?
Absolutely not.
Despite 1 in 5 new COVID cases coming from Florida, Chris Nelson says he won't get the vaccine. He says he's skeptical of so much pressure from the government.
When the government and the media are putting so much pressure on me, on people, to get a medical procedure, to get something injected into our bodies, which is a big thing. I mean, injected into our bodies. I want to ask why.
But the CDC says virtually all of the COVID hospitalizations and deaths in the U.S. involve people who are not vaccinated.
The worst part was she was alone. We couldn't go in and see her.
46-year-old Shauna Myers died from COVID in Arkansas just weeks after testing positive. She was not vaccinated.
She really didn't think it mattered whether you were vaccinated or not. 1 minute she was okay, and then 1 minute she wasn't.
Like Shauna, 50% of Americans are still not fully vaccinated. Doctors say that could be a life or death decision.
The vaccine is going to lower your risk dramatically of getting any symptoms, and even more so of being severely ill or die. Without it, you can be part of the statistics.
And nationwide COVID cases are up 145%, but perspective, of course, is important. At this hospital in Miami right now, they have 139 COVID cases. This same time last year, they had 485 COVID patients. Marty?
Still in the wrong direction. Brian Enton in Florida tonight. Brian, thank you. Joining us live now from our NewsNation station in New York City is Dr. PURVI PARIKH. She is an allergist and immunologist with Allergy and Asthma Network. Doctor, as always, good to see you. With half of the country unvaccinated, cases rising again, as we just showed in that report, do you anticipate that we will relapse into what we saw last year?
You know, if we're not careful, we may. Cases are up 145% from what they were 2 weeks ago. And it is in mostly unvaccinated people, as we've seen, deaths and hospitalizations. So, we are seeing a surge, and there's also fears of further mutations if those people don't get vaccinated.
I'd like to talk to you for a moment about masks. I sat down with former Surgeon General Jerome Adams at the White House last fall as cases of COVID surged then. Now he is back in the headlines again, this time with a tweet about masks. And he said last year, Tony Fauci and I famously, prematurely and wrongly advised against masks. I felt it was the best call at the time, but now regret it. I'm worried the CDC also made a similarly premature, misinterpreted, yet still harmful call on masking in the face of the Delta variant. So does the CDC have this wrong? Should everyone, even the vaccinated, be masking up?
Yeah, the devil is in the details. Definitely indoors where we know the virus can spread. Yes, we should all be masking. If you don't know if the people around you are vaccinated, you should be masking. Outdoors, there is less spread. But yes, I think the initial messages did cause a lot of confusion for everyone. And the masks we know do work, especially if everybody's masks. It reduces transmission significantly.
So given the rise that we're seeing, do you think we should be masking up again, requiring it inside?
I think so, especially because it is very hard to track who is fully vaccinated and who isn't. And even if you are fully vaccinated, you can still spread the virus if you have symptoms. So once you're symptomatic, all bets are off, and it's almost impossible to know who may have mild symptoms. So Los Angeles already has reinforced mask mandates, as has Las Vegas, and we may see it in other parts of the country.
Dr. Parikh, we have learned that a vaccine for kids will likely be available midwinter for those 12 and under. That is well after the start of school. This is a big concern for a lot of parents. The AAP is advising kids mask up. What is the best way for us right now to protect our kids through the rest of the summer and as they head back in the fall?
Right. The best way is that for everyone who can get a vaccine, meaning people 12 and up, to get that vaccine, because then it will protect the children who cannot receive the vaccine as of yet. And as soon as those children are eligible, they should also be vaccinated. Outside of that, it is important for our kids to get back to school. They get immense learning advantages and benefits. So if we can be done in a safe way, that would be best. So that's why the AAP is recommending masking in school, so that way children can still attend.
Finally, the CDC and also the State Department advising against travel to the UK specifically because we're seeing a spike in COVID cases there right now. What is your advice to folks about non-essential travel right now within the U.S. or elsewhere?
Right. I would still avoid non-essential travel, especially if you're traveling to an area where vaccination rates are low or where the Delta variant cases are spiking. Much of the world, we forget, doesn't have access to the vaccine. So you have to really look at local regulations and rules and consider it very carefully with all the pros and cons and take into your own health and risk in account.
Far from out of the pandemic. Dr. PURVI Parikh, as always, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Rob.
Well, fears of a possible fourth wave of COVID sending ripple effects through Wall Street today. The Dow having its worst day since late October, losing more than 700 points. That's the biggest decline of the year. Concerns over yet another round, possibly, of pandemic restrictions, threatening the same economic recovery that President Biden touted today. White House correspondent Allison Harris live in Washington tonight with more on this. Allison.
Rob, President Biden, speaking from the White House today, says we've brought this economy back from the brink, citing the fastest job growth at this point in any administration's history. He's touting that since he came into office 6 months ago tomorrow, the U.S. has gone from creating 60,000 new jobs in a month to doing that every 3 days. But all across this country, there are millions of job openings. Employers are having a hard time finding workers, and COVID cases are up all across the country, up in all 50 states. As you mentioned, today we saw the stock market drop to its lowest level in months, the Dow closing down 700 points, and Americans are paying more on everything from gas to groceries. There's rising inflation. The president today defending his administration's policies, saying that this rising inflation is expected and it is temporary.
In 6 months into my administration, the U.S. economy has experienced the highest economic growth rate in nearly 40 years. Most of the price increases we've seen were expected and are expected to be temporary. There's nobody suggesting there's unchecked inflation on the way.
Republicans like House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy are blaming what they call the administration's massive increases in government spending, a proposed $3.5 trillion on the rising costs, saying that it is a key driver of these price increases. Now, analysts say that the stocks can rebound quickly, but the larger question here is whether we have reached an economic tipping point in this country where we've seen the largest amount of job growth that we are going to see, and from here on out, that job growth is going to slow along with our vaccination rates slowing in this country, stalling our return to pre-pandemic life. Rob?
The economic toll of all this is still pretty astounding. Allison Harris live in front of the White House. Thank you. Meantime, COVID cases in the Olympic Village just days before the opening ceremonies on Friday. Already, several U.S. athletes have been sidelined. Their hopes of competing at the highest level now just crushed, basically. In just minutes here tonight on Prime, reaction from Team USA and also reaction from the father of a gymnast who now will not get to take to the mat in Tokyo.
Flames are burning fast and out of control in several states right now out west. The Bootleg fire in Oregon has scorched more than 300,000 acres. That is roughly the size of L.A. Flames fueled by winds and bone-dry conditions are burning one of the most remote areas of the continental U.S. So evacuations and loss to property, thankfully, have been minimal. But the same cannot be said about the fires burning across California. The Tamarack fire, for example, tearing through the central part of that state, destroying homes and forcing mass evacuations. And tonight, a possible cause to one of the largest fires burning in the state. PG&E says its equipment may have started the Dixie Fire, which has charred more than 30,000 acres so far. In 2018, the same company caused the Camp Fire. That destroyed, as you may remember, the entire town of Paradise. And to really put all this in perspective for you, I'd like for you to look at this compared to this same time last year. We have roughly 900 more wildfires and 165,000 more acres of land burned, just so you understand how difficult this fire season is. I want to go now to Katy O'Hara, who serves as the Public Information Officer for the Bootleg Fire. That's that massive fire in Oregon. Katy, appreciate your time. Right now, as we're looking, this fire has burned more than 300,000 acres, mostly forest and wildland, and at last check, 25% contained. What's the status right now?
Hey, good evening. You're right. We're actually sitting about just over 340,000 acres that have burned since the fire started, and 25% contained. We're still seeing significant fire activity across the east and northern flanks of the fire. We're experiencing red flag conditions with high winds and very low humidities across the area, which making firefighting conditions very difficult for our crews out on the line.
What are some of the challenges that they're facing as they try to contain this and protect life and property?
Yeah, definitely challenges are the extreme drought conditions. The fuel is so dry out on the ground right now that it's making it difficult for firefighters to build direct line against the fire. to be able to get equipment in there. The terrain is very difficult. And then the high winds every day has been making it very hard for us to go direct and fight this fire.
What's the situation on evacuations? I know most of this is in a vast, desolate land, but there are still structures threatened, correct?
Absolutely. So we have a broad range of level 3 or go evacuations across the entire area of the fire perimeter. Right now, we have roughly over 2,000 residents evacuated from their homes. And within the last hour, Lake County increased evacuations on the west side of Summer Lake, where there's quite a few recreation residents as well as primary homes.
How are you doing in terms of resources? Because as I read today, this fire could take months to put out. We may be waiting until we get some rain, some substantial rain to stop it.
Yeah, absolutely. So nationwide, we're at what's called a planning level 5, which means resources are limited across the country. So we have just over 2,000 firefighters assigned to this fire, and our fire managers are working very closely with the crews and the leadership around the fire to apply the skill sets that are needed in the best places that they can actively and aggressively fight the fire in a safe manner.
Well, it's a difficult and dangerous job. Katie O'Hara, our best to you and all of the crews out there on the front lines. We appreciate the work you're doing, and thanks for the update tonight.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
In California, thousands of people have been forced to evacuate their homes because of these fires. Some sadly have already lost everything, including John and Ariel Combs. Their home was destroyed in the BECKWOURTH complex fire, and you're looking at images of what is left of their house. And John is joining me live on the phone right now. John, I am very sorry for your loss. Looking at these images, it is just devastating. Are your family and those you love taken care of now and okay?
Yeah, we got out all safe. Got my family and my animals out. It's just, it was hard.
How much time did you have to get out?
Well, we knew the fire was coming for a little ways. I stood on my roof for 3 days, watering it down, watering out the property and stuff, just try to slow it down a little bit. But within those 3 days, I mean, we didn't see any air support at all. But so we had a little bit of time to get prepped up and ready for it.
What were you able to take with you?
I took, you know, we got some food, the family, of course, you know, got, you know, firearms, but just the animals, got, you know, a little bit of clothes and stuff, but yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it.
How long have you...
When you have nowhere to go, it's kind of hard to, you know, pack up a bunch of stuff.
Where are you staying, John?
Where am I staying? I'm staying with a family member, my cousin Lisa.
Okay. In terms of your house and how long you'd lived there, what this place meant to you, explain to us how difficult this has been.
It's hard. You know, all my kids grew up there. I've been there for almost 9 years now, and my kids, they just keep telling me, I want to go home, I want to go home. And that's the hardest part, is trying to explain to them, hey, there's no home to go to.
Yeah. Well, what is your plan at this point?
Got to bounce back. You can't just live, you know, the sun's still going to rise and the world's still spinning. Now you got to bounce back. I just got to keep going. You got to be strong for them. So I just get another place and work from there, you know, start at the bottom.
Do you plan to rebuild, John?
I plan to rebuild. I'm not giving up.
Yeah. How are your neighbors doing?
The neighbors, they're all right. As weird as it sounds, like my house got burnt and everything around me was okay. It just kind of like weaved through me and then went to the next street and took out a whole street. A guy snook his house, and my father and mother-in-law, they lost their house down the street. It just kind of weaved through right through mine.
Well, John, I know that you're going through a tough time. We sure do appreciate you giving us a few moments and walking us through what you experienced. Our best to you and your family and everybody around you. And I know you've got a tough road ahead, so good luck with everything.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. John Combs lost his home. He and his wife and 4 kids had to evacuate the BECKWOURTH fire in California. Let's talk more about those conditions in California right now. Eric Rucker from our NewsNation station KTXL is live in Plumas County with the very latest on the efforts there.
Yeah, good evening. We've actually relocated to Butte County. The smoke, the giant plume of smoke from the Dixie Fire that you see behind us, that is coming to you from Plumas County. You have to go deep into a National Forest Land Canyon area to get back to the fire. In fact, we just raced back from that area. Appropriate speed, of course, on the highway. And because we wanted to show you what this looked like, this is extremely impressive. These aren't normal clouds. This is coming from right above the fire itself. Last word from CAL FIRE, the reporting agency here in California. We were looking at well over 30,000 acres burned, and this is a fire that has been going on for nearly a week now. And what is significant about that 30,000 mark is that it jumped up from yesterday. It was just at 12,000. Now it's at 30,000, and those are the numbers that we were given as far as this morning. We are waiting now for an update from CAL FIRE to tell us what the current acreage is and containment. We haven't got that quite yet, but you can expect those numbers to jump up significantly. When we were down there, Highway 70 is what goes through this area, a giant canyon, as we mentioned, and there was smoke everywhere, fires on both sides of the road. And while we don't know exactly how many acres this fire has burned today in total, after adding up with last week, we do know that PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric, the major electrical and gas company here in Northern California, may be to blame for this fire, and this is not the first time that would be the case. We can tell you that they did submit a report rather to the California Public Utilities Commission last night, saying that they had a person on their way out to what may have been some issues with their equipment. That person could not get out there. And now here we are almost a week later, and we have this giant plume. If we're on video, let's come back out live to show you this one more time, because this is extremely impressive, and this fire continues to pick up speed. And this is often the case with fires like this. It is nearly 100 degrees right now, even after 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and it is extremely windy where this fire is raging on in the canyon, as we said, just across the way in Plumas County. So fire officials are going to keep a close eye on this one. The good news here, not a lot of people live in this area. No structures as of yet have burned down. Rob, back to you.
Eric Rucker reporting tonight. Thank you so much, Eric. And the amazing thing here, Albert, is that even if you don't live out west, the effects of this are pretty remarkable here, because that smoke is drifting all across the country.
Right. So as the smoke from these wildfires goes into the atmosphere, it gets caught up with the jet stream winds, and that smoke is then carried eastward. And look at this. You're seeing that smoke all the way in portions of the Midwest, even parts of the Northeast. Now, certainly, it's much, much higher in the atmosphere. It's not surface-based, 20 to 30,000 feet, but it gives you an idea. The ongoing fires in Canada and also out towards the west, that smoke makes its way all the way off towards the east. Here's a look at the two big fires we've been talking about. Bootleg fire in the south central portion of Oregon, over 340,000 acres. The Dixie Fire, and on satellite picture, this one not too far from Paradise, California. We're starting to see some signs that this is starting to increase as these winds increase out of the south and southwest. That's why these red flag warnings are in effect. And next several afternoons and evenings, the winds will pick up. That's why the fire situation remains high, not just tonight, but over the next several days, Rob.
All right, Albert, thank you very much. Well, the Olympic Games now just a few days away. They start Friday, but they will open under a state of emergency as COVID cases continue to rise across Japan. The latest on the U.S. athletes who have tested positive for COVID and what it means for their ticket to Tokyo coming up. Plus, hackers targeted one of the country's most widely used email servers, and now the Biden administration seems to know who was behind it. Details next here on Prime. Welcome back, everybody. You're looking at a live picture from Tokyo, where the 2020 Olympics are set to begin just 4 days from now. But as you've heard by now, the excitement for the event is being met with a whole lot of nerves over rising COVID cases there, including folks right there in the Olympic Village itself. As we speak, a total of 3 U.S. athletes have tested positive now for COVID. 2 of them are no longer even going to Japan, and 2 other athletes are being isolated under health protocols. NewsNation's ADRIENNE BANKERT live in the newsroom tonight with the latest, and this has got to be heartbreaking for athletes. They worked their career to get here, and now this.
You know, here's the thing, Rob. This is a serious story. You don't mess with COVID, but how frustrating. It is a lifelong dream. These athletes have waited patiently, especially those who weren't able to play in last year's canceled games. But perhaps the most concerning thing is the fact that most of these athletes who are reportedly infected were vaccinated. Before the Olympic Games even begin, some athletes are already disqualified due to positive COVID-19 test results or protocols.
We are aware of course, COVID-19 cases among a handful of athletes.
But it's not just those competing. The International Olympic Committee says that as of today, 58 people associated with the Games, including athletes, personnel, contractors, and media in Japan, have tested positive for COVID and have been quarantined. Some didn't even get to travel before finding out they may be a no-go. From USA men's basketball, Zach LaVine from the Chicago Bulls will not be traveling with the team. He's now under health and safety protocols. WNBA player Katy Lou Samuelson of the Seattle Storm will not be heading to Tokyo after testing positive for COVID-19, though she was vaccinated. It's the same for USA gymnast Kara Aker, already in Tokyo when she tested positive for COVID and is now under quarantine. She's an alternate for the team. Her father says the most frustrating part is that she hasn't had any symptoms, and she also is vaccinated. Aker will have to remain in isolation for 10 days before being allowed to return to the U.S.
Obviously, it's a disappointment. She's followed the letter of the law and done everything right, and she still winds up with positive tests. So that's crazy.
This all follows news that Washington Wizards guard Bradley Beal will miss the games due to COVID-19 health restrictions, along with tennis star Coco Gauff announcing that she would not be traveling to the games, tweeting out that she tested positive for COVID-19.
Our team will be following very strict safety and health protocols, limiting engagement with the public and keeping our footprint as small as possible.
And so far, we know that the First Lady of the United States, Jill Biden, she will be traveling to Japan, and that will not be stopped, even with these new developments. Aker's father says that she was tested twice in Japan for COVID. Both tests came out positive. That means she's completely out. And for basketball, USA Basketball saying in a statement that there are hopes that LaVine would be able to join the team in Japan a little later this week, maybe like 24 hours before he hits the court for the game. Rob?
Fingers crossed it stays safe. Adrienne, thank you so much. We'll see. Meantime, an officer rescues a family that was trapped inside of a burning home. And it's all caught, as you see there, on video. That story coming up next here on Prime.
Jump, I got you. I got you.
A police officer in Western New York being hailed as a hero tonight after rescuing a family of 6, including 3 under the age of 10. All of those folks were trapped inside of a burning house early this morning. The video shows Jamestown police officer Mark Conklin racing to that home before directing the family to jump from their upstairs window. Eventually, he did catch them.
Wow. Well, a Florida man is sentenced to 8 months in prison for his involvement in the U.S. Capitol riot. Paul Hodgkins is the first person involved in the January 6th insurrection to face jail time. He pleaded guilty to felony obstruction of an official proceeding after storming the Senate chamber. Hodgkins, who was carrying a Trump campaign flag, says that he had no plans to enter the Capitol, but he got swept up in the crowd.
Haiti's interim prime minister is officially stepping down. Claude Joseph has led the country since the July 7th assassination of President Moise. Joseph is expected now to hand power to neurosurgeon and politician Ariel Henry, who had been designated to replace Joseph the day before the president was murdered. The change, which could come as soon as tomorrow, in fact, follows a statement on Saturday from a key group of international diplomats that called on Henry, not Joseph, to form a new government.
Amid the growing number of cyber attacks on U.S. companies, the Biden administration is blaming China for hitting Microsoft's widely used email server. That massive hack compromised thousands of computers around the world. NewsNation's Tom Negovin is live for us in New York tonight. And Tom, it is a broad range of cyber threats now from Beijing.
That's right, Marty. Enormous. The biggest allegations of their kind really ever, that these were hackers for hire on the Chinese government's payroll. They're the systems used by governments and some of the world's biggest companies. Tonight, Washington says it was China that hacked its way in, issuing not punishment, but strong condemnation, along with allies like the UK and every member of NATO.
So I would note that we are actually elevating and taking steps to not only speak out publicly, but certainly take action.
It follows well-publicized hacks that disrupted U.S. oil and meat supplies, cyber alerts from the NSA, the Department of Justice announcing separately that a grand jury has indicted 4 Chinese nationals accused of working with Beijing's blessing to break into U.S. businesses and government agencies to steal intellectual property and research on infectious diseases like Ebola and AIDS. The State Department calling out China's pattern of irresponsible, disruptive, and destabilizing behavior in cyberspace.
It is much more serious when it is a nation state that is conducting attacks because of the resources and capabilities that a nation has.
But when it was Russia accused of helping hackers, the Biden administration moved aggressively, even threatening Russian President Vladimir Putin with severe consequences if he doesn't crack down. And the White House suggests this isn't over either.
My understanding is that the Chinese government, not unlike the Russian government, is not doing this themselves, but are protecting those who are doing it.
So no sanctions yet. The president says he'll have a more detailed report on how this whole thing went down on his desk tomorrow morning. There's a possibility of sanctions. Actually, Rob, insiders in Washington tonight say a very good possibility that Washington takes this further.
All right, Tom Negaman live in New York tonight. Thank you, Tom. And with that, we want to bring in Alan Liska, a senior intelligence analyst. Alan, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate your time.
Sure. Thank you, Rob.
I heard a lot of folks describe what the White House did as more naming and shaming, but not really condemning. So in terms of dealing with China, how effective do you think that technique is? Are words enough?
Just as it has been with Russia in the past, naming and shaming is never enough. There has to be actions that follow it. But the fact that so many countries, including NATO, which never has publicly named a country in one of these attacks before, shows how serious the world is taking it. And I think there'll probably be coordinated sanctions against China following.
And when we talk about hacking in this country, so often, just as in Tom's report, you hear Russia mentioned. If you had to assess, in terms of the cyber warfare that right now between all the countries, who is the greater threat to America right now, Russia or China, in this realm?
It simply depends on the kind of attacks you're talking about. For nation-state activity, China by far has more paid hackers and a larger organizational structure than Russia does. In terms of cyber criminal activity, Russia is certainly ahead of China.
And we hear so much about these attacks these days. Are the other guys just so good, or are we just, America, underprepared?
So it's not that they're that good. It is that there's a lot of unpreparedness in general around companies and organizations. And unfortunately, there are so many vulnerabilities out there and so many ways to gain access that it's really hard to protect against all of the different ways they can gain access, not to mention the fact that they're investing literally millions of dollars in developing what we call 0 days, so previously unknown vulnerabilities, like the Microsoft Exchange vulnerability that you can't protect against because it wasn't a vulnerability until they discovered it.
Let me shift gears a little bit to something else that has been in the news here. Kind of a global media consortium kind of released the results of this investigation, some of which were leaked out about this group based in Israel, NSO Group. And what they're finding now is that this group was potentially targeting for surveillance, using people's smartphones all around the world, taking particular aim at journalists and political dissidents and human rights activists. This group made $240 million last year, basically hackers for hire. How dangerous is this? And then we'll get to the flip side about people's iPhones on an everyday level next. But on an international level, this is pretty appalling.
Right. It's pretty appalling, and they appear to be selling to countries that they weren't supposed to be selling to. So countries that have repressive regimes or that will go after journalists and other dissidents, which makes it even worse. And again, just like with the nation-state actors, a lot of the methods that NSO Group has to gain access are previously unknown vulnerabilities. So you can have a fully updated iPhone or Android device and they're still able to get access to your system.
And they're calling this military-grade malware, which is frightening. If you don't think it's bad, this is what has come out of this in terms of their malware, what it can get to if it gets onto your phone. Emails, call records, social media posts, passwords, contacts, pictures, videos, recordings, browsing history. It can activate your camera, activate your microphone to get fresh images and recordings. It can listen to your calls and voicemails. So for Joe Blow out there tonight, just average folks, knowing this kind of malware exists and can get literally everything and anything off your phone, how concerned should everyday Americans be?
So everyday Americans probably shouldn't be too concerned as long as they keep their phone updated, and when Microsoft or Android releases a new patch, you update your phone. But in general, you should be concerned because so much of our life is lived on the phone. And with these kind of vulnerabilities, if you think about it, let's say you're using end-to-end encryption like WhatsApp or Signal on your devices. The end-to-end encryption doesn't work if they have direct access to the device and they can read the messages right off the device. So even the steps you would normally take to protect against something like this don't work in this case.
And apparently the malware was successful even in the latest iPhone with the latest software update. It doesn't sound like there's much the average person can do in their settings to offset something like this.
Right. There are some third-party security programs that you can get that will look for programs like this. The problem is that programs like this also look for those programs and try and disable them, so it becomes an escalating war.
Oh, thank you so much. It was such a riveting topic for so many reasons, on a personal and political and international level. Thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Take care.
Next on Prime, taking the fight for voting rights out of Washington and into Georgia. Details of a rare meeting away from the halls of Congress and the message Senate Democrats are now trying to send.
Plus, battle of the billionaires, dozens of miles up in the air. Jeff Bezos is just hours from liftoff. How his flight will be different from Richard Branson's recent trip to space.
Welcome back, everybody. Voting rights once again taking center stage, but this time outside the nation's capital. Senate Democrats held a rare field meeting on the road in Georgia today, arguing that their sweeping elections measure is desperately needed to counter the impact of a set of new GOP laws that they say disproportionately impact turnout among voters of color. NewsNation's Joe Khalil joining us live from D.C. tonight with the latest on this. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Rob. Yeah, there is a certain block of Democrats for whom voting rights is a central issue, and they want to keep the spotlight on voting rights. And so it's a busy week here on Capitol Hill, but bringing this hearing down to Georgia was certainly one way to keep the attention on it. And Georgia, many Democrats say, is ground zero for the battle for voting rights.
This is a coordinated effort to limit Americans' freedom to vote.
Senate Democrats took their voting rights fight on the road to Georgia, holding the first Senate hearing outside D.C. in 20 years.
So they're trying to deny access to the ballot, to set up hurdles that voters have to cross as if voting is a privilege and not a right.
Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock highlighted a few parts of Georgia's new election law, which Democrats call an assault on voting rights, targeting, they argue, mostly Democratic-leaning minority voters. And while the hearing was focused on Georgia's elections, it was also a broader appeal to Congress, urging senators to pass national election laws that would limit some changes states like Georgia and Texas are trying to make.
This would create those basic federal voting rights that are allowed for by our Constitution.
Georgia's Governor Brian Kemp says Democrats are making false attacks, distorting the aim of the new law.
Here's the truth. SB 202 ensures that Georgia elections are secure
accessible, and fair. Their false attacks and politicized lawsuits aren't about expanding voting rights at all.
Meantime, Texas state lawmakers are still in Washington, making the same case for Congress to pass a major voting rights bill. Still intentionally absent from Texas, denying Republicans there the ability to hold session and pass their own election security bill. And here on Capitol Hill, a few weeks ago, Senate Democrats did try to bring their comprehensive voting rights bill to the Senate floor. It did not have enough Republican votes to even begin a debate on that bill. But itself, that bill is comprehensive. It is very large. It accomplishes a lot. So as it's written, it's not likely to move forward unless there are some changes made to it. Rob.
Joe Khalil reporting from D.C. tonight. Thank you, Joe. A highly anticipated new milestone in the billionaire space race. Jeff Bezos' big liftoff has history and his history-making crew. Also, the plan to fly to the edge of space without a pilot.
Well, the countdown is on. Just 11 hours from now until Jeff Bezos and his crew head to the final frontier. The billionaire's Blue Origin will launch its first mission tomorrow morning, just days after Richard Branson's crew ventured to the edge of space. And it makes the idea of space tourism one step closer to becoming a reality. NewsNation correspondent Marky Martin is live in El Paso tonight ahead of tomorrow's launch. She was there for Branson's launch. Marky, another big day ahead.
Yeah, we are excited for it, Marnie. Good evening to you. We are all systems go now for round 2 of this billionaire space race. We're back in West Texas. Jeff Bezos is up next first thing tomorrow morning, and this after a successful flight for Sir Richard Branson just last week.
All right. Feels good to be in the flight suit.
The countdown is on. Early Tuesday morning, Jeff Bezos will launch 66 miles above Earth. Unlike last week's billionaire blastoff, the Blue Origin rocket is completely automated. Not a single pilot or flight engineer on board. Just the Amazon founder, his brother Mark, 82-year-old veteran pilot Wally Funk, and 18-year-old Oliver Damon.
I feel responsibility because I'm the youngest in space, and to get more people interested in space, and not even just space, but science, would be such an opportunity for me to do. When I touch down and I get out of the vehicle, I think I'll be just speechless.
The Dutch teen securing the final seat after his dad bought it at auction. If all goes according to plan, he and Funk will become the youngest and oldest astronauts. The flight comes just 9 days after Sir Richard Branson earned his astronaut wings. Similarly, Bezos' ride will also be suborbital and last only 11 minutes with 3 minutes of weightlessness. But the Amazon founder and his crew will travel past the Kármán line, which international agencies consider to be the beginning of space.
I literally have had goosebumps since I stepped in. Like, they haven't gone away.
You love his honesty there. And while we keep talking about a race or a rivalry, you know, Bezos and Branson, I do have to say they have been rather amicable, complimentary of one another in the weeks leading up to this. In fact, today, Richard Branson taking to social media just to send his best wishes to Bezos. And that flight will take off in the morning. It's scheduled to take off at 8 o'clock Central. Marnie.
Some healthy camaraderie. Marky, thank you. Have fun tomorrow. Still ahead tonight, new details about the trial connected to the death of the popular artist Mac Miller, and an NBA team's chance to bring home the championship trophy. What you need to know about tomorrow, right here on Prime.
I survived a serial killer.
I think he knocked me out and thought he had killed me.
Definitely had diabolical, evil intent.
Next on Banfield.
Several stories we are keeping an eye on for tomorrow. Belgium declaring a national day of mourning to remember the victims of the extreme flooding that wiped out parts of Europe. So far, nearly 200 people have died. Weather officials had forecast heavy downpours, but warnings of catastrophic damage didn't appear to have made it to too many people affected in some areas, often in the middle of the night. Just such devastation. The trial begins for the drug dealer charged with providing fentanyl to rapper Mac Miller. Miller was found dead from an apparent overdose at his California home in 2018. Cameron Pettit is accused of selling him counterfeit pharmaceutical narcotics laced with fentanyl 2 days before he died.
And the Milwaukee Bucks are now one win away from capturing their first NBA title since 1971, 50 years ago. That would mean the Bucks would become just the 5th team in NBA Finals history to win a championship. The Bucks play the Suns tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Central. Thanks so much for being with us, everybody. Banfield starting right now.